If you've ever felt stuck in your own head and you've been replaying conversations, second-guessing decisions, or lying awake at night analyzing everything, then you're not alone. I certainly have done that a lot. And more importantly, you're not overthinking because you're weak or indecisive. You're overthinking because your cognitive system is overloaded. And in this video, I'll show you what research suggests are the real drivers of overthinking and how to interrupt it without trying to think positive or empty your mind. We'll look at three things. Number one, what actually causes overthinking? Number two, why it gets worse the more a capable person you are. And number three, how to stop the loop using two evidence-based cognitive methods. And I love them both a lot, and I've used them a lot for myself. So, what is overthinking? And overthinking is not just thinking too much. Psychologically, it usually shows up as chronic worry about the future or rumination about the past and repetitive self-generated thoughts that don't lead to action. Research links it to stress, uncertainty, perfectionism, and high responsibility environments. And many people describe it as mental noise, mental chatter that never fully switches off. Like having too many browser tabs open in your browser, in your mind. And here is the key point. Overthinking is often a self-regulation problem and not a thinking problem. It happens when the brain keeps generating thoughts, but struggles to close cognitive loops and move into action. So, why overthinking happens? Reason number one is chronic stress. It overloads the system, and when stress is high, the brain becomes threat-focused, and it starts scanning for mistakes, for risks, for future problems, and for social consequences. And this increases this repetitive thinking. And studies show that chronic worry, painful memories, and ongoing stress are strongly associated with persistent overthinking and rumination. And from a cognitive perspective, the brain is trying to solve uncertainty. It wants to give you certainty, but instead of solving it, it keeps simulating possible problems. So thinking increases while clarity actually decreases. Number two, perfectionism and fear of mistakes. Overthinking is strongly linked to perfectionistic tendencies. If your internal standard is, I must not get this wrong, I must always do it right, then your brain keeps analyzing longer than necessary. And this leads to second-guessing yourself, to delayed decisions, to constant checking, to difficulty finishing tasks. And highly capable people are especially vulnerable here, because the more responsibility you carry, the higher the perceived cost of mistakes are for you. So the brain tries to compensate by thinking more. And unfortunately, beyond a certain point, more thinking reduces decision quality rather than improving it. Number three, social and cognitive overload. Overthinking also increases when the brain is handling too much information. Work demands, social demands, digital input, uncertainty about the future. All of this creates cognitive load. And when cognitive load is too high, the brain struggles to prioritize. So instead of clear thinking, you get looping thoughts. And this is why overthinking often increases at night. When the external input stops, unprocessed material starts replaying in our head. So why can't we just stop thinking? And most advice that you find out there for overthinking is surprisingly unhelpful. They tell us to just stop thinking, think positive, do mindfulness, clear your mind. And for many of us, that doesn't work because overthinking is not voluntary. It's what happens when cognitive control is tired and unresolved loops remain open. So instead of trying to suppress thoughts, we need to improve cognitive control and closure. Two approaches from clinical and cognitive research are particularly useful here, and I love both of them and have used them both a lot in my past. So method number 1 is cognitive restructuring from cognitive behavior therapy. And this method targets the content of overthinking instead of letting thoughts run automatically. You actively evaluate them. You ask, what exactly am I predicting right now? And what is the realistic probability of it actually happening? And what evidence supports or contradicts this? And this reduces catastrophic thinking and breaks repetitive loops. And part of this technique, a different variation of it, is behavioral testing. So instead of analyzing endlessly, run a small real-world test. Action generates clarity faster than rumination. And I have this structured worksheet that you can get for free on my website, and I'll link this below for you. Method number 2, and I've used that a lot too, which is the cognitive control training from goal management training. And this method targets cognitive control of attention, not thought content. So when you notice overthinking starting, step number 1 is mentally or verbally say stop and interrupt the loop deliberately. Number 2, ask, what do I want to think? What is my current goal right now? And step number 3, return attention to one concrete action. And this sounds simple, but research shows that training this stop, orient, act sequence improves cognitive control and reduces rumination. And overthinking thrives on open loops and unclear goals. When a clear next action is defined, thinking naturally decreases. So if you do overthink a lot, it usually means your brain is trying to protect you. And it tries to protect you from mistakes, from uncertainty, and from negative outcome. But this protection can become interference, and at some point, thinking stops improving decisions and starts degrading them. And the goal here is to not to think less. The goal is to think clearly and then do something, an action move. Because clarity rarely comes from endless analysis. It comes from the combination of thought and action, thinking and doing. If you're interested in how stress and modern cognitive load affect decision quality and performance, that's what Applied Brain Labs is all about. And if overthinking is something you have been noticing lately, I'd really be curious to know, when does it show up most for you? Is it at work when you have to make decisions, or at night? Thank you so much for watching, and see you in our next video.